So one of the things how it played out in my parenting role is this focus on behavior, right? Focusing on the children's behavior, and like you said, then we judge it. It's either right or it's wrong. And then we have to change it to make it right because we don't want anything wrong or bad because our worth is attached to their behavior, right? And how tremendous pressure on children to carry
Mm.
our worth on their shoulders.
Hello, you beautiful mama. Welcome back to the Unperfected Pod. I am truly so happy and grateful that you're here. On a side note, I know that there are so many things that you could be doing with your wild and precious time. And for you to be spending it with me, I want you to know that I do not take that lightly. It means the world to me. And I hope that I am providing you with tools and insights and considerations to help you start to live a life that makes you feel healthy and whole and fulfilled. And this week, you guys, was a beautiful conversation that I had with Diane Sorensen of Beautiful Behavior. She is a connected relationships and parenting coach and the host of Beautiful Behavior, who turned her daughter's struggle in her teenage years into a massive awakening around her perfectionism, her people pleasing, and the way that she was setting the tone in her family. In this conversation, guys, we talk about her story. We talk about the costs of people pleasing and perfectionism. And we talk about tangible things that you can do to begin to break free from the perfectionism prison and start living a life in alignment right now. I love her honesty. I love her integrity. And whenever there's a woman and a mother who turns her pain into her purpose and her mission, ooh, I get so lit up by that. So I'm so excited for you guys to hear this week's conversation. And I do want to remind you that the doors are open to Legend Extraordinary Life Unperfected, my brand new 16-week program. You guys, we start August 27th. There are 2 tiers to this program. There is a tier where you get the group weekly coaching. We work through the unperfected method, heal, reveal, and rise. And then there's an upgrade to the VIP mastermind. And this is for the woman who knows there is an inconvenient truth in her life that she is ready to allow to bubble up and express and take action on. The woman who is ready for real sisterhood to hold her in her change, in her upgrade of her life, whether it's personal, relational, business, leadership, it's all welcome here. Everything, leadership, energetics, the neurobiology of success, the nervous system regulation, managing your mind, discovering who you are, identity shifts, all of the things that are going to support your juiciest transformation of remembering who the F you really are, what you want, and why you're here is in this program. I am so excited about this, you guys. There are 10 spots that I opened up. 2 of them are claimed when I'm recording this, so there might be more that are claimed. So if you want to talk about what this program is and if it's the next right thing for you, make sure that you reach out to me. You can DM me on Instagram. You can private message me on Facebook. You can email me, Brooke@liveunperfected, and I will gladly make time for you to have a conversation about what this program is all about and whether or not it is something for you. But if you are feeling called to join a group of women who are all leveling up in their life by becoming more and more of the truth of who they are, then baby, I would love to have you in this program. Okay, so let's get into today's conversation with the beautiful Diane Sorensen. I know you guys are going to find some meaningful gems in here. Enjoy. Hey babe, I'm Brooke Jean, licensed therapist, coach, mama, and your straight talking guide to ditching the pressure and living a life unperfected. I've coached some of the top C-suite women in America, women leading billion-dollar companies while secretly falling apart. I've been her. I blend psychology, neuroscience, and energetics with lived experience to help high-achieving women actually heal so that they can access their infinite energy, creativity, and vitality. If you're a perfection-obsessed woman who's checked every damn box, career, family, house, 401k, but still feels low-key dead inside, you're in the right place. Here, we rip off the good girl mask, call out the BS, and build a life that actually feels like yours. We talk healing, we talk revealing, we talk rising, and we do it raw, real, and unfiltered. This is the Unperfected Pod. Welcome back, you beautiful mamas. As always, I'm so happy and grateful you are here. And I am stoked to have this conversation today with my new friend, Diane. Diane, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brooke. I am so happy and honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we were just talking before we hit record about how our paths have crossed because I just believe that people come into your life at the right time for the right reasons. And that's why I'm always so interested to know, like, how did you hear about the show or what led you to connect with me? And so I already know this is going to be a powerful conversation because here we are at this moment in time talking about these things that we're so passionate about. So can we start with you just telling us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do and how you came into, because there's always a juicy story, no pressure, but there's usually a juicy story behind why we do the beautiful work that we do in the world. So let's start there.
Okay. And I just want to say too that you asked me how I found you, and truly, Brooke, the universe just handed me to me. And I, listened to you. I followed you on Instagram, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just love this woman. I love
I didn't scare you away. I didn't scare you away.
I think you magnetized me towards you. Oh my gosh, I just love you.
That's how I know you're my
So
people. If I didn't scare you and you're still here, I know you're my people. Let's go. Let's
yeah,
get into
yeah,
it, babe.
yeah.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so who am I? Oh my gosh. Besides the humaning, I
Exactly.
am a wife, a mother, stepmother, a
Mm,
grandmother. I mean,
mm.
I am all the mothering things. And I just really believe that I am here to take a stand for mothers. And so I work with I support ambitious women, um, many of them who are mothers,
Mm.
who often look like they have it together on the outside and on the inside often feel overwhelmed, alone, and unappreciated. And
Check, 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 right?
yes,
Hmm.
for many years, I was that woman, you know, high achieving, doing all the right things, trying to be the perfect mom and um, teacher and wife. And then my then teenage daughter faced a mental health crisis. And that was a wake up call. That had me realizing the pressure that I had internalized and unknowingly passed on by living in performance and pleasing. And so that was
Wow.
a really dark time in my life. And it was the beginning of my transformation, where I was able to start unraveling some of these generational patterns that, we internalized the culture, and started redefining what the good mother, putting air quotes on that, good mother meant to me,
Mm.
and reconnected with my true self. And continuing to have that relationship in honoring that true self, and evolving that. And that is what I help women do now through my podcast, my coaching programs, my speaking work. Yeah, that's a little bit about me and how I got here. I just really am passionate about taking a stand for mothers and this whole paradigm that we have been put into, and saying no more of that. We are, what I really want to help women transform their lives to, you know, live the celebration that our life is really meant to be,
Mm. Mm.
rather than surviving this surviving.
Mm. Yes. Okay. So let's talk about the generational narratives that you picked up that became these conditioned expectations of the perfect girl, perfect mother, whatever, when your daughter was having the mental health crisis, which, oh my gosh, mama, I have so much compassion like for that. Who, right? That's big. That's gonna get our attention. But what were some of those rules, quote unquote rules that you were subscribing to and conditioned through as a mother at that time? And where the heck did you pick them up, right? We all, because it's so fascinating to me to
We've
see
all
like
been
all
there.
the different generations. Yeah, to see all the different generations of women and moms, like the culturalization, the conditioning of the perfect woman, the good girl, and where we got it from. I love to shine light on that. And then we will definitely talk about how we unravel from that. But what were some of those rules that you were following?
Yeah. So, it was the good girl, rules. It was the behave, and really, one of the things that really imprisoned me, that, I know now, was this: what are other people going to think? This people pleasing, um, need to perform and be pleasing to others. And I can look back and now, I understand the same pain and pressure that my mother was under to have her children behave and perform so that she could be accepted in the world. And I unknowingly did the same thing. I subscribed to this: oh, I gotta look a certain way, I gotta act a certain way, I gotta talk a certain way. I mean, my voice was so silenced. Um, I was, well, when I was real young, I was afraid to even talk. Um, and so this whole perfecting things to be able to, really, it's proving ourselves, it's proving my worth and earning love, which I don't even say, it's not even love, it's earning approval. And approval is not true love. It is like a substitute for love, because I felt that love was unattainable. So I'm just going to gain everybody's approval. I had this insatiable thirst for approval, which is that mother wound. And unfortunately, pass that on. Oh, we have the perfect family. Look at us. Um,
What were
but
some ways that that specifically showed up in your life? This thirst for approval. What were some specific
oh,
things that you used to
well, I had an
do?
eating disorder.
Okay. Yeah.
So, which was, I say that now, because truly that's what it was. It was never diagnosed back then. In fact, it was praised, right? And so, having that body image, oh, I wish I had your willpower, Yeah, and then all the cute clothes. So, I mean, appearance was one of the ways that that good girl played out. And then also just making everybody comfortable. One of the big messages I got was do not upset anybody ever, ever.
Don't
I mean,
burden.
well, not that
Don't
anybody
burden.
told me that, but
Yes.
I got that message. Don't ever upset anybody. So really, it took a lot of work to be able to begin to speak my truth. Rather than always deferring to what somebody else wants. And we do this so, it's in such nuanced ways.
Unconsciously, right? Just
Oh,
automatically. It's
absolutely.
the automatic program for a woman to walk into a room and assess how everyone's feeling and make it her responsibility to get in front of unnamed problems before they're even spoken. And we become so good at it, we don't even know that we're doing it. It's
Right.
unconscious.
Right. And I was a teacher for many years in the education field. And so, we would have, I worked with a lot of women. And so there were days where we would able to go out for lunch or something, and it's like, it's so interesting because it's like, okay, we're going to go out for lunch. Where do you want to go? And then nobody will say, right? Oh, I don't care. Where do you want to go? I don't, because we're so used to not even having wants and needs, right? I put a lid on that. Needing did not gain me approval. Wanting did not gain me approval. In fact, that was, greedy, just be grateful for what you have. Um, and yeah, so that's how some of that played out growing up. And then as a mother, it played out. It probably looked a bit different, but it was the same underlying pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it's already there, this desire to be approved upon, the perfectionism. And then in my experience, it amplifies when we have children because also, I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's like I noticed such a big difference between the expectation on moms between my first child who was born in 2003, and my second, who was born in 2017, because of the internet, because of social media, because of the endless blogs and YouTubes on how to feed your child, play with your child, all the things that you should be doing. And so now it's like, when we're young, it's like, okay, I need to have the perfect body. I need to have the perfect manners. I need to look a certain way. But then you have children, and now there's all these things that you can be doing for them, either perfectly or imperfectly. And there was nothing in between. It was either right or wrong. And then their I'm performance, their happiness, their everything becomes an extension, a reflection of you that we try to control, which that's just silly and laughable. We learn later, right? But it
Yes.
sounds like your story, it was similar where it was already there, but then when you became a mom, it amplified.
Oh, 1,000 times. Yes. Yes. When we bring this people pleasing pattern, when we bring this perfectionism into parenting,
Mm,
it continues unless we are aware of it and are willing to do it differently. So one of the things how it played out in my parenting role is this focus on behavior, right? Focusing on the children's behavior, and like you said, then we judge it. It's either right or it's wrong. And then we have to change it to make it right, um, because we don't want anything wrong or bad, because then yeah, we our worth is attached to their behavior, right? And how tremendous pressure on children to carry
mm,
our worth on their shoulders.
whoa. I feel like we need to double click on that because I think you just named something that is like an epidemic and we're all suffering, but we've never heard it named so eloquently, which is we've tied our worth as mothers to our children's behavior. And wow, is that a lot of pressure on both parties, child and parent?
Right. Because then if your child doesn't behave by society standards right or good, then I'm a bad mom. And that is a terrifying thought. Right?
Yes.
And the tremendous pressure on children to, again, unknowingly get trained into earning approval.
Say more about getting trained to earn approval because I felt it so deep when you said earlier like we what's the word I'm looking for where we basically we confuse approval for love.
Yes, it's a substitute.
Oh, this feels really big. Like how is that happening? Why is that happening? And then what can we do to
Yeah,
tease
it's the
apart?
epidemic. Well, this is what I call the old model subscribes to, the traditional Western culture, the model of behavior.
Mm,
And it is all about compliance,
mm,
right? It's about fitting in. And as Brene Brown tells us, fitting in is a barrier to belonging, which we need for our thrival and survival.
literally.
And so when we focus on behavior and we just automatically judge it as, oh, that's not good behavior or is good behavior. If we see behavior that from our past was judged as bad or wrong, that is wired into our nervous system and it will get triggered.
Mm,
And then
mm,
we accidentally think it's that child in front of us that is the cause of this trigger and unknowingly blame the child. And then the child needs to change to take care of us, the parents, upset, basically our emotions. So then we accidentally do this. You're in charge of my emotions and I'm in charge of yours because if you're upset, then that is uncomfortable for me. So I need to make you happy. And it's really this codependence
mm,
that my worth
mm,
is
mm.
dependent on your outcomes. As long as you're happy and uh,
Conforming, basically. What
conform,
you're saying is like
and we don't
it's
even know it's there.
right,
And
right.
that's why so the shift here that I have learned and that I bring is shifting from that focus on behavior to now focusing on the relationship I'm having with my child.
Mm,
So parenting is a relationship. It is not a hierarchy that we have, fallen into or been conditioned to. And so I think sometimes we have to almost redefine what is relationship.
yeah.
And it's everything is a relationship. We are relating to everything around us, whether it's people or things or our body or selves and it's so funny because the foundation of my work is the relationship you have with yourself. And so many of it, and I was the same way. It's like, the relationship with myself? What are you talking about? And that just shows how much we are focused on other. And we've become invisible in our own life. True self has become invisible. And we just perform.
And what's the problem with that? What's the cost
Yeah.
for moms?
The
What's the
cost of
cost?
that is that we get separated from the truth of who we are, which is love. We are love. We don't have to prove anything. We don't have to prove that that we matter. We don't have to prove that I am worthy of taking up space in
Mm,
this world. That
mm.
I don't have to prove that I am worthy of existing.
And I don't have to prove that I love my kids through their behavior.
Right. And I don't have to pass on this belief that I am loved if I make you happy, if I behave in a certain way, if I become who I'm perceiving I need to be in order to be accepted. We break this chain. And I am a grandmother now,
Hmm.
and I am so passionate about uh, building a new legacy for our family. So this does not continue on. And it did take a lot for me to see it. It took my daughter's mental health crisis, which I'll just tell you what it was. I found out that she was cutting. And that was just devastating. But I didn't provide her with the emotional support that she needed. um, I didn't have the emotional support that I needed, and so forth down the mother line,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Who knew that, we needed that emotional support, our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual being. I mean, all of those are part of our being. And generations before this, we have only been focused on the physical. And we've ignored the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. And what is happening is the cost that you asked me about earlier is it creates resentment that I have to be a certain way in order to be loved, in order to be accepted. And I can't speak my truth. I have to make you comfortable. It creates a lot of resentment, and resentment gone unacknowledged and unprocessed becomes rage, and rage that goes unacknowledged and unprocessed becomes hate. And then we're in trouble. We have
Hmm.
mass shootings, we have school shootings,
Self-harm, right?
self-harm. And self-harm, I didn't realize I was doing self-harm on the inside, beating myself up, telling myself I wasn't good enough unless, starving myself to please and prove and perfect so that others would approve of me.
Hmm.
And so this is really turning to a new paradigm, right? Turning
Yeah.
to,
We're switching it off. We're unsubscribing. But how? Because I think it takes a lot of freaking courage as a mother when you're going through something hard with your child. How did that inspire you to look at yourself in the mirror and go, these this pressure is too much? Like, how did you connect the two, and then what did you do from there? Because not everybody does that, Diane. Not everybody sees their child suffering and has the courage to look in the mirror and say, what can I do? Not that it's your fault or mom's faults, because it's way layered and complicated. It's way layered and complicated.
yeah, this isn't about blame at all. We're not
No,
blaming
no,
any mothers.
no. But this was your kick. I say this a lot on the podcast. Like, if we don't want to change, fine, but the universe will kick us in the tits hard enough
Well,
where we're gonna be we're going to get on a different path.
Right. It's like
And
they give
so
us
can
the
you
sign, "Oh, you missed that one? Okay, here's another bigger one. Here's a
Yeah,
bigger one. Here's
yeah,
here's one that's gonna
yes,
take you to your knees." Okay.
yes,
Um,
yes. But
yeah.
still, you went within. So talk us through that journey because that's so
Yeah.
courageous of you.
And, I will say that it didn't happen right away. I mean, how did I handle it when when I came into this information? Probably not that well. My first thoughts, I think, were, what's everybody going to think? What are people going to think? And what are they going to say about us? And oh my gosh. Um, and, I think that's a defense that at first, I think I was numb. I think I was in denial that this could just, go away somehow,
Yeah,
be fixed.
yeah.
Um, and I think that the thought that I could have contributed to this, or that I was a bad mom, was so terrifying. I just couldn't allow it to come into my consciousness. But as we continue to find solutions, or figure this out, one day I remember sitting at my desk at work as a teacher, and this thought came into my mind that, what if this isn't just about her? What if this isn't about her being rebellious, or whatever story I was making up in my head about it? What if it has something to do with me, or even the way that I was raised, or something to do with my relationship with my parents? And then that was it. That was just a moment. And then it was like, oh, okay, I got to get to class. But it was a moment of curiosity. And I think that moment allowed just a small sliver of a door to open. And then the universe did its thing. Books started falling off the shelves, programs started coming into my life, mentors started showing up. And I just realized, I just really wanted to figure this out. And I got more and more curious. And went on this path of personal development. And what happened was, I ended up getting trained in a relationship based program that I then brought into my classroom. And I
Oh,
started
cool.
shifting
Mm,
the classroom from this focus on behavior to building relationships in the classroom.
mm,
So I was building relationships with the students, helping the students build relationships with each other, building new relationships that look different with the staff.
mm.
Um, and people noticed. Like administrator, I kept getting people into my room, and I couldn't figure out, why did these people keep coming into my classroom to just observe. Just happened to be around, and I wanted to observe. But what I found out later was that people were coming into my classroom, going back to the administration and saying, "You got to go check out this classroom. This classroom is different." Well, how is it different? And they couldn't explain it in words. But later, what I found out was, how they kind of explained it was, it felt different. The
Mm,
atmosphere, the culture had changed.
mm,
And so I practiced it professionally. I practiced it at home. And now I have left the education system, and I am coaching other mothers to empower them that we can do this. We can do this. This is like a movement. We can do this, and we can shift this paradigm and have new relationships with our children, which will change the culture of your home.
mm,
And then that ripples out, right, into communities and into the world. And, in our crazy crazy world the way the world is right now.
Yeah.
I just really think for me, my part in healing our world, our country, myself, my family, our community is just to be the embodiment of love and peace as best that I can do that.
I feel that from you. What is one powerful step a mama listening can take right now to shift from the behavior based hierarchy in their family or their any system that they're a part of at work, personal, and move into relationship focus? Like, what does that actually mean? And what's a step that a mama listening can take right now to make that shift?
Yeah. Yeah. And it is. It's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, what does it
Or-
mean, right? It's like
right.
because even when we're doing the behavior based thing, we still feel like we're focused on relationships, right? I don't think moms are like, I'm not focused on the relationships, but it's like, it sounds like you're putting relationship first over behavior. But I want you to unpack this with me. Like, what is that shift and what is a step that we can take now to make the shift?
Yeah. So I think one really important shift is when we, are with our children, when they're behaving in a way that triggers us, we can ask ourselves, start becoming curious rather than criticism or
Mm,
judgment of that
mm,
behavior.
mm,
Just get curious.
mhm.
So that is one little shift. So I think, small shifts over time create big impact. We can't just go, okay, stop that and now this. That's not the way transformation works. So
Mhm.
small shifts. The first thing, get curious and ask yourself, what am I making this mean right now? And then you can even go a step farther and say, what am I making this mean about me? Because it does ultimately come down to that. We get triggered because our nervous system is reacting to an old story. And at some point, it will filter down into something we're making it mean about us, or attached to our worthiness, our not enoughness. Um,
Yes.
so that's one thing.
So getting curious about why we're triggered or what the trigger is from the child versus judging
Okay,
and
so the
correcting the
child is
child.
doing something and we want to correct it.
Mhm.
Get curious. Why do I feel this need to correct this? What am I making this mean about my child? What am I making this mean about me? Um, and it's starting the practice of seeing the human beneath the behavior. Because here's the thing about behavior, it is a language, it is expressing what is happening on the inside with that child. That is their language. So rather than stopping what's their behavior, we can begin to get curious and try to understand it, because it is always about what's happening in their inner world. So I say their behavior isn't about us, it's about them. Our reaction to their behavior isn't about them, it is about us. So just that little shift of seeing behavior not as something being done to us, it's an expression of this is what's going on for me on the inside. So the other thing is that I would say is start turning inward yourself and start, I don't know, having a different relationship with emotions and our feelings and our triggers. That I think if you're like me and a lot of the other women I talk with and work with, that we've got messages or have this relationship with our emotions that if we are feeling something unpleasant, that something is wrong and it needs to be fixed. Somebody is either I'm doing something wrong or somebody else is doing something wrong and it needs to stop or, be fixed. And our emotions are really, truly, I promise you, are here to guide us. They're our internal GPS, if you will. And so establishing one of the earliest things I did was just establishing a different relationship, my emotions. Like, how are
Mm.
you feeling? I feel angry. Where in your body do you feel that? And I know when I first started this, I'm like, that felt crazy. That sounded crazy to me. What do you mean? Because I didn't feel my emotions, is what I have learned. I acted them out.
Mm.
And so coming to know that my feelings are inside of me and they're here to guide me and they can be here. And I talk to my feelings now. I say, "Oh, hello, anger, you're here. I can feel you in my chest. Breathe with me. You're safe. You're safe. And I'm not going to push you away or try to get rid of you. You can be here. And right now, you can go ahead and buckle into the passenger seat here because I'm driving this, and then we'll spend some time together a little bit later. So yeah, that was a big thing because the big thing with my daughter was she didn't have the emotional support she needed because I don't really know about emotions. I mean,
And we're not comfortable with them. We're not.
the only acceptable emotion
Was happy.
happy and not too much.
Mm. Just the right amount of happy.
Just the right amount of happy to make
Right.
everybody comfortable.
Yeah.
They're just really more neutral. It's really, it's like we're robots and we're just neutral. So anyway, becoming fully human. So those are a couple of things
Yeah.
um, that I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love how you talked about just getting curious. I feel like building awareness and taking time to pause versus react from trigger, that'll change generations to come. But then leaning in and getting curious about, okay, that behavior is triggering me. What is the story I'm telling myself about that? What is the meaning or what's just happening in my body? And then how do I want to respond when I've taken a moment to realize I'm triggered and go through this little process? That is game changing because our parents reacted from triggers, their parents reacted from triggers, right? We just passed the triggering thing down, but it's like, but but what has it triggered inside of me? What has it
Right.
triggered? But here's what I want to know from you, to the people that are like, but we still need rules and boundaries and we still need manners. And so if we're just letting kids just say whatever they want and do whatever they want, it's just out of control. And that whole narrative. What do you say to that piece?
Yeah. I know it's scary. And we do. We go from one extreme to the other. We either control or they're going to be out of control. But here's the truth. The more we try to control another human being, the more out of control they become.
Ooh, say more about that.
We have been told or conditioned to the belief that we do control other. In fact, parents are expected to control their children.
Yes.
And we are being asked to do the impossible because that is actually impossible to control another human being. Now, we can manipulate them, we can break them down, we, to try to get them to conform. And that's what happens. I was a yeller. I was desperate for my children to listen to me.
Listen.
Yeah. Um, So this is not, and I really want people to hear this. This is not about letting children just, you know, um, go amok. Eh, because that would be no better than controlling them. And here's what has kind of happened, Brooke, in the evolution of the generations, is there was a generation where we were much more controlling. And then in the more modern world, we kind of came to this other end where we're fixing everything for, we're doing it for them. So we're helicopter. Those are the two extremes. And what we want to do is lead, right? We want to be leading our children with, yes, boundaries. But here's the thing. And one of the biggest things I do in my coaching is teach boundaries. But when we wrap fear around boundaries, it becomes control. And so a
Mhm.
lot of times when we're talking about boundaries, we're not really talking about boundaries. We're talking about control. And we're just putting a new word on it. Kind of like
Totally.
we put a new word on punishment.
Mm.
Now we call it consequences. But we're
Mm.
using it in the same way
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
punish them.
Mhm.
I'm going to take away your stuff because you didn't do what I told you to. And there is, I'm not going to get into all of that. There is times for that. So the new paradigm isn't about all or nothing. That's the old stuff, right? So it's this and. I kind of forgot where I was going with that.
Well, we were just talking about how I think some parents fear,
Oh, yeah,
right? Like our kids being out of control, but what I think you're suggesting is, well, we're just leading them differently. We're teaching them. Instead of controlling them, we're teaching them like why it would be kind and considerate to let people speak and listen when they're speaking, or why it would be kind and considerate or safe to do these certain behaviors. We can still teach our children, we can still parent them and lead them while like not making their behavior mean something about them or us, because kids are going to be kids, right? And like
right,
I
right.
have found that, like, this was a point you were making, the less that I try to control everything, the more I realize my kids they're fine. They're freaking fine. They're either acting their age, or they're hungry, thirsty, basic needs need to be met, or they need mama to model something different or teach them something different. But we make it like so serious. Like if they act a certain way at the dinner table or in a Target, and it's like, where can we release some of that pressure, and then the energy we were spending trying to control and correct and punish, we can pour into our self-care and nourishment, and then modeling healthy boundaries and standards, and then teaching and leading our little humans how to also be healthy, safe, happy humans as well. But it takes a lot of energy to do that. But I believe it's worth it, because I was taking a lot of energy yelling and controlling and shaming myself and trying to predict every possible scary outcome than I am now. It's the same amount of energy. I'm just using it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But I
And
love that it started with what you said, which was curiosity, getting curious and leaning in and building relationship.
yeah, yeah,
Right? And normalizing feelings. Oh my gosh. Like, how many illnesses in women could we prevent if we just teach our daughters and our sons too how to feel? And that it's normal to have big feelings. And here's a tool belt, like
yeah.
it's,
And it's such a, I mean, it's such a great question though. And I do invite and I want people to ask questions. Well, what does this even mean? If we weren't controlling them, then they're just going to do, then yeah, let's open these conversations.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
let's talk about those things because really we want safety, we want connection, and we want the ability to problem solve. And yes, oh, we could just talk on and on.
Forever about
Oh,
that.
but
Yeah.
I think too, also, Brooke, is the permission to get support,
Mm,
right? Like the old paradigm says, well, you should be able to do this by yourself. Like, if you need help, then you must be doing it wrong. And that couldn't be further from the truth. We need community, we need each other. We can raise each other up.
and our children
Exactly.
and each other's children.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And so, yeah, this is a new way. And it's one tiny micro step at a time, one tiny step at a time. So, again, just get curious. Ask yourself, what am I making this mean?
That's huge. What's become available for you as a person, as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, as a grandmother, all the coach, all the things that you do in your world, what's become available for you since unsubscribing from the old paradigm, the good mother narrative, the perfectionistic stuff? What's become available now?
I just have chills. It's like freedom. Freedom has become available. The freedom from that prison in my mind of how do I have to be in this moment? Who do I have to be in this situation? What are people going to think? That out of that is such freedom. The other thing that came available to me is my authentic self, my true self. Love came available to me. Real love, not approval, not the substitute, but love, love, worth. It all comes from within, and we're looking for it out there, and it's not sustainable. Yeah, it might make us feel worthy for, a couple days, a week, a month. It's not, and then we're off to that goalpost is, and I think you did an episode on this recently, Brooke. The goalpost keeps moving. It's
It's a
never
never-ending target. It's
ever
a never-ending target.
until you turn within and find that enoughness right here with you, because you are enough. You are love, and that cannot run out. That
How
is
did
a
you remember that? How did you remember that? Because you're pointing to something so many women are struggling with, mothers are struggling with, which is just this association, like you said, that if I'm approved of, I'm loved. What was something that you did to unsubscribe from that and to remember your own enoughness and worthiness and that
it,
love is
it,
an
it
inside
was
job?
it was a journey, Brooke, and I just invite people to be willing to commit to the journey, because I am I want to offer people hope, because I was there. I was the epitome of approval seeking, and I continue to evolve. But yeah, little by little by little, that curiosity, that taking in new information, allowing myself to shift my mindset and getting resources and help. I have had countless coaches and mentors, and just practicing integrating, I all the thought leaders out there. I've got tons of books. I love to read about this stuff. It fascinates me. Brene Brown, and just all of the thought leaders. So that's what I would invite people to. I would invite people to come to um, be willing, be willing to go to investigate, to explore. Is there another way? What might that look like? Let me pick up a Brene Brown book, Gifts of Imperfection.
Yeah, that's a great place
That's
to
where you can
start. Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
And allow it to unfold. And again, I had coaches just bop, universe put them right into my inbox, and then I'd forget about them, and then it would go, yoo-hoo, nope, this one right here. um,
Totally.
just yeah, and little by little, remember, and
Mm,
then I get pulled back right into the weeds, into the performance,
the
and
trap.
then you know, get get
Yeah.
make my way back again. So that's just that's just the celebration of life. It is allowing life to unfold, and it's always going to be challenging. We always have challenges, but the difference now, Brooke, is that I don't see life as having problems. They are challenges, and I can face challenges and I can respond to challenges. The difference before was, I was playing whack-a-mole with problems like, oh, we can't have a problem or I'm doing it wrong. So I whack this one down and then there comes another, and we say things like, it's always something, right? It's always something. And yes, life is always happening for us. There's always challenges showing up and we can move through those. We are empowered. We can move through challenges
Yeah, and I just
and come
really
out the other
truly
side.
believe. Yeah, I believe in my whole heart that everything is a lesson or a blessing. I really do.
I do
Because
too.
you're either getting what you desire or learning something so valuable to your journey of getting what you desire, which is love, which is connection, which is abundance, which is fulfillment. And so nothing is wasted. And in my experience, the challenges teach me the most on my journey and give me that nugget of gold that I needed in my leadership, in my energy, in my intention, in the who I want to be, in the how I want to show up. And so that reframe, that like shift in attitude of things are not problems, they're opportunities. Everything is a lesson or a blessing, while also shaving off the meaning that we're giving things when we face challenges. Like, we would be such a different population if we just stop assigning meaning to things that don't, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, s-
Yeah. Or
ladies,
even just
question it. Question it.
questioning it.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Questioning it. Get curious about it. What am I making this mean? Is that factually true?
Oh, it's so,
Making it mean
dude,
I'm not enough. Is that factually true?
a
And
really, oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
I was just going to say, and when we say, yes, that is true. All right. So who do you become? This is the work of Byron Katie. Who do you become when you believe that? I become this crazy yelling mom person. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I become this driver of something in my home. A really recent example of this has been my oldest just graduated college, and people love to ask the question, well, like, what's he doing now? And I find it so interesting because what I'm so much more curious about is, like, how's he feeling, and who is he becoming? And, like, those are the things that I care about, but we're so conditioned to ask, well, what are they doing now? Like, what's their plan? And one of the ways that I'm, like, shifting this paradigm is to be like, he's living his life is what he's doing.
Mm, that's beautiful. Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah. We think there's this timeline.
yes.
Right.
No. He does not need to have a plan for you to feel good. Like, the plan is we've just graduated college and we're celebrating that until the cows come home. And he's going to work and he's going to learn how to work and pay bills. And he's moving in with his girlfriend and all the lessons that you learn when you cohabitate with someone you love. And he's going to learn how to juggle work. And then he's also doing music. And I just want him to like be a 22-year-old and like himself so that he loves others. And I want him to like do the things that he loves because he loves them. And I'm now taking the time. I used to feel the pressure to have this like buttoned up answer. And now I take the time to explain all of that to people. I'm like, he's learning how to be himself. And that's exactly where he needs to be. And you can see people like, you can see for some people it's such a relief, and other people it makes them uncomfortable. But these are little shifts of like, girl, I don't listen. If you have a serious plan, it's going to change anyway.
Oh, I love that so much. He's learning to be himself.
He's learning to be
That's it.
22. Like,
That's it. There's no
w-
timelines.
we
There's
are
no,
winning. We are winning over here. My man is learning how to be himself. We are winning. I am not worried. I don't care. Like, but because all of it comes back down to fear, right? What's the plan is just like, is he going to be okay? And can he afford his bills? And so I understand the intention isn't bad or wrong. But for me, as his mother, who's been doing the same work that you're talking about for the last 20 years now, it's like, I, I just want my kid to like himself, because when he likes himself, when he can see his own gold, inherent gold, then he's going to be good to others. And that is the foundation of anything you're ever going to need in your life.
well, that's boom, mic drop. I want my son to like himself.
That's it. That's my goal as a parent. My goal as a parent is to help my children like something about themselves and find something that's worth getting up for every day, you know? And so for him, it's music. And I cannot tell you how many times about his entire everything. Well, what's he going to do with that? Well, what's he going to do with that? And I'm like, listen, I'll tell you what. He's my child and I'm really good at this coaching thing. And so we can monetize anything if you love it a lot. So I don't worry about that. I am stoked that he found something that makes him feel alive, because everything else is figure out. But that's a different way of thinking. That's a different way of parenting. And so I get it. It takes trust. It takes courage. It takes bucking the system. But for me, I'm just like, I followed all the rules and I burnt out at 33 years old. So, and I don't do that job anymore. I don't. So it's like, I saw where that led me.
Yeah. And so here's a big thing, Brooke. So that statement, I want my child to like themselves, is so huge because that is what my daughter did not have. She didn't like herself. She had a lot of shame. She had a lot of self hatred. And when I started my personal growth journey, or I call it my self discovery journey,
Yeah.
I was astounded with the self hatred that was there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that whole thing was coming back to herself. And the thing that I want most for her right now is self respect,
Yeah.
self acceptance,
Yeah.
self love.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about self love. This is not some woo woo,
Uh-uh.
thing out there. It, the best way I can give her that is to become it, to
Mm,
have self respect, to
mm,
have self acceptance,
mm-hmm.
self, fulfillment, all
Yes.
of that. If
Yes.
I embody that, that shows her the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you mamas listening out there, we could start there.
Yeah. And I also want to say that you can do all of this as a parent and still have a child who suffers and self harms.
Yes.
So I want
Yes.
to name that because we're already so hard on ourselves. And this work that we're talking about is massively transformational and so profound and beautiful. And our kids are on their own journey and they have their own things, their own dragons. And it's not all your fault, you know? And I think it's important for us to name these things because when you find out that your kid is doing something sad like that, it's so easy to be like, well, I fucked up somewhere. And it's like, listen, let's be aware and let's work on ourselves. And there is no way that you're going to raise children that don't have a dragon to slay.
Absolutely.
And
Thank
it
you for
doesn't
calling
mean
that.
that you failed as a mother. And yes, we can still like teach our children these beautiful things that we're talking about today to help them recover and to help them on their journey. But if you think that if you're a perfect mom, you're going to avoid that DUI, that self harm, that bad decision, guys, our kids are going to have their own lessons and blessings. But the best thing we can do is to model for them how to handle it with grace and courage, and then to give them some tools along the way, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
I
Thank
think
you
that's
for
important
calling
to
that out.
name because it's like, girl,
Yeah, we could do all the
we
things
can do all the
because we're
things.
not the only influence in their
Mm-mm.
life. There's a
That's
lot
it.
of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff.
And then we get to go on this journey with them and they get to have the journey. And here's the beautiful thing that I have um, been able to subscribe to now I have six adult children,
Oh my
um,
gosh.
three of my own and three
Wow.
stepchildren, and 10 grandchildren
Oh
ranging
my
from ages
gosh.
2 years old to 20 years
You
old.
have a crew. You have a whole
And
posse.
I do. And here's the thing that when these challenges come up or when they're struggling, I can always go, what kind of growth could I take and grow from? So we can always look at does this mirror to me that I can grow in? What do I want them to do? And then how can I apply that?
Yeah. Yes.
Doing our own work is the only thing we really do control.
Totally.
Seeing our children as capable, and it becomes a beautiful journey. Yes, it's messy. And I have found that living life messy is so
Messiest.
much more fun.
Yes. Because we're not telling ourselves a story about it.
Right. We're
We're
not
not
putting a
making it
script.
right or wrong. It just is. Life is. It's unfolding. It's happening for us. There's no judgment. There's no label. There's no stories that we need to keep. We're literally making ourselves. I call that turning the struggle switch on. It's like there's the reality of what's happening. And then there's the story you're telling yourself about it that's making you bad or wrong. And that's actually where the suffering is.
100%.
So, can we kick the story? My child is struggling through this. Let's face it head on. My marriage is struggling with this. Let's face it head on. My business is struggling. Stop it with the stories. The stories actually hinder the evolution that's required for us to get through this next leg of the marathon of life.
Right. Being in the reality of what is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I am so grateful that you're willing to share your story with your daughter and how that became such a turning point for you because so many mamas are suffering in silence with something their kid is going through and they're blaming themselves or they're not knowing what to do or where to turn. And so it's so powerful when we can name the messy because it frees us all. And once we're not in the shame of it, we can actually make change happen in our lives, in our families, in our relationships. And so thank you for, bringing your story and saying yes to the challenge and then turning that into your body of work and now walking beautiful women home to themselves to unsubscribe from all of these pressures so we can find what you said so beautifully, which is the freedom to be. And so will you tell the listeners kind of what you're up to right now in your business and where they can connect with you?
Yeah. So the best place I think to connect with me and get to know about what I'm doing is on my podcast, Beautiful Behavior. So go over there. We would love to have you there. And I just did a interview actually with my daughter, who is now a mid-aged mama herself. And she is advocating also for this shift. So we did a
Wow.
interview. So go over there, listen to that. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook. You can find me in those places. Excuse me. And yeah, and I have programs for empowering women to make this shift. So I do one-on-one coaching. And again, you can find all the links in all those places. And yeah.
How beautiful that you making this shift has now led to you're having a conversation with your daughter on your podcast and how she's also a leader in making this change. Like this is why we say like little things add up to really big movements, because what would be different about your relationship with her, your family, or her life or your life if you wouldn't have said yes to this challenge and
Yeah.
made this change in your family dynamic? Like, it's wild to think about, isn't it? So freaking cool. I definitely want to listen to that. I want to be on your podcast too, girl. Send me the
Yes,
link. I want to be on
please.
there.
Yes,
But
please.
thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. And we will link all your beautiful things below. If you guys want to connect with Diane and see more about the beautiful work that she's doing in the world. But thank you for spending some of your precious time with us today, Diane.
Oh, thank you so much. It was my honor.
And to the beautiful listener, as always, take care of yourselves and there for each other. And we will see you same time next week. Bye for now. Hey, boo, if you made it this far, I know you're serious about healing, revealing, and rising, living a life unperfected. Just by showing up, you're telling the universe, I matter. I'm ready. So don't be surprised if things start shifting in your favor. If this episode moved you, do me a favor. Rate and review the podcast on Apple or Spotify. It helps us reach more high-achieving, high-performing women who are ready to stop pretending and start living. And if something really landed, DM me on Instagram at BrookeJeanUnperfected or share a clip and tag me. I want to see what's moving through you. And hey, don't forget, you can watch this episode on YouTube and join my brand new VidMe membership for exclusive content, coaching, and community for only $35 a month. We're not just talking about rising, we're doing it together.